The storytelling in The Witcher 3 is brilliant for the vast majority of the game, but one glaring sore spot is how CDPR handles the criminal underworld in Novigrad. There is so much potential with Geralt navigating these unsavory types, and CDPR puts in a lot of work framing these characters, even going so far as to come up with a cool nickname for them, the Big Four. But when it comes to actually making them interesting, they completely drop the ball, something that is most apparent when analyzing the main quest, Get Junior. The quest begins with Geralt learning from Priscilla that Ciri and Dandelion were involved with Cyprian Wily, aka Whoreson Jr., one of Novigrad's crime bosses. Geralt meets with the other three members of this criminal Big Four, which includes Cleaver, Francis Bedlam, and Siggy Reuven, aka Dijkstra. They're all looking for Whoreson Jr., and with or without their help, Geralt searches all over Novigrad before Dijkstra directs Geralt to a band of Temerian freedom fighters, where his old friend Vernon Roche is hanging out. They then meet with Roach's Redanian contact, who turns out to be King Radovid. Radovid knows where Junior is and points Geralt to a mansion in Oxenfurt where he finds Junior, learns what happened to Ciri, Dandelion, and Dudu, and then decides what to do with this despicable scumbag. Now, I was really looking forward to seeing how the criminal underworld worked in Novigrad, to watch the Big Four interact and see what their roles were. And sadly, that is a complete letdown. Like, as you explore the casino and Get Junior, you might rescue this gnome Rico, who is spying for Francis Bedlam, aka the King of Beggars, which begins a side quest, Honor Among Thieves, for Bedlam. But side quest is far too strong a word because this is the entire quest.
Rico blew his cover like a novice.
Yeah, he told me. And I told him to leave town. Most likely promised I'd reward you, didn't he?
So he said.
Take it.
Oh my god, that was faster than even I expected. I'm not ready to talk. Let's do some viewer comments really quick while I figure something out. So Dante mentioned that if you rescue Rico and do this side quest, it unlocks some dialogue in the contract, the Apiary Phantom. And I feel like that's more insightful character development of Dante than we get of Francis Bedlam in this entire game, because he just disappears now. Like, he doesn't factor into the main quest again, so we lose any chance to get to know him. Similarly, I wanted to get to know more about Cleaver. Clearly, he's kind of the dumb muscle of the group, but this is The Witcher 3. They usually have nuance to these things. And after Geralt and the other crime lords are attacked by Wily's assassins in the bathhouse, Cleaver the angry dwarf plans to take matters into his own hands.
While I send my boys to Whoreson's hidey holes, they'll make some noise, flush the bugger out.
Geralt is concerned about this, even saying that he's got to get to Whoreson before Cleaver does, and that implies that there's going to be a branching path here, one where Geralt either gets to Junior before Cleaver, or one where he doesn't. At this point, a side quest, Gangs of Novigrad, unlocks, and that also implies that our choice here is going to dictate if we're going to have a conflict with this feisty dwarf, and that we're potentially going to get more information on Cleaver and his role in the Big Four as we search the city for Junior. But just like with Bedlam, this is a complete waste of time. You just get some money and XP, which sure, some people might like that. I don't care for that. I want story and lore, and we sure as hell don't get that. The interactions with Cleaver are utterly meaningless. And as for gameplay changes, what changes? If you don't do Gangs of Novigrad, you still are going to have to fight your way through the casino and the arena eventually. The only change is where the fight starts, and you don't have a bunch of hench dwarves alongside you. But that's it. You don't actually get to know Cleaver or have a conflict with him. He's used even less than the King of Beggars. Even Dijkstra is underutilized. Granted, he has his own quest, Count Reuven's Treasure, but that quest is more about Triss Marigold and setting up her story arc and side quest, and that mirrors the problems with Get Junior. Rather than focus on the Big Four, its purpose seems to be to introduce characters from the prior game and setting up their very tangentially related side quests. And while these scenes with Radovid and Vernon Roche are fantastic on their own, they take valuable screen time away from us learning anything meaningful about the Novigrad crime bosses and their relationships with one another. Hell, the quest even allows you to skip parts of Geralt's investigation into Novigrad's crime world. Like commenter Joyrider9215 went after Radovid as soon as the option came up in the quest log and missed the whole part with the arena. And then commenter Bob replied to that comment and agreed, saying that he didn't even know there was an option to not go after Radovid immediately. And I gotta say, that interaction between two of my commenters, way more interaction than we see between any members of the Big Four in Get Junior. The focus is just not there. We're getting these cool ideas with Junior working with Redania and how that may affect the rest of his criminal colleagues, but there's minimal detail on what that situation is actually about. Like, you would hope that the former Redanian spy master would be more insightful than this.
Whoreson Jr. He's working with Radovid.
Huh? If this is reliable information, Whoreson's neck deep in shit.
And then Dijkstra shuttles us off to meet with Vernon Roach, a Temerian freedom fighter from the second game. And then we get further from the core of this quest, the Novigrad Big Four, as Roach waxes poetic about Temeria's struggle against Nilfgaard. None of it is related in any way to the current set of events that are driving Geralt. It's just a way to reintroduce characters from The Witcher 2. Like there's this brief bit where Roach and another former Witcher 2 all-star, Vess, have this argument.
Roach, I cannot abandon them.
You can and must, because those are your orders.
They'll die, please.
We're done. Dismissed.
But that argument is solely there to set up a future side quest for Vernon Roach and Vess. Has nothing to do with Dandelion, Ciri, or Junior. It's completely unrelated. And that goes for meeting Radovid as well. Just like Roach before him, this sequence is less about building up the present story about how Ciri, Dandelion, Redania, Junior, and all the Novigrad crime lords factor together, and is more just to show Radovid slip into madness to set up his future side quest with Philippa Eilhart. And don't get me wrong, the dialogue here is really well done, but it doesn't add anything to Get Junior, because we don't actually learn anything meaningful about Radovid working with Junior. This is basically all he says on the matter.
And also, Junior has lost his purpose. The Big Four is no more.
Huh, the Big Four is no more. Maybe that's why CDPR gave us nothing on the King of Beggars, Cleaver, or Dijkstra. Wait, no, but Radovid is insane. That doesn't make any sense. We can't trust him. Plus, this quest is called Get Junior, and we basically learn nothing about Junior either. Like the other crime lords bitch and moan about how dangerous he is and how they need to take him out and how he's not to be messed with, but there's barely anything specific. It's all vague and generic bad guy propaganda.
And if you can't find the slimy bastard, come and see me. I know him well.
This is just vague enough that he could be talking about Cyprian Wily, or he could be talking about Slimer from Ghostbusters. For a writing team that created the Bloody Baron, I am shocked at how shallow Junior is. But maybe we'll find that his character development is hidden in one of his strongholds. Geralt can get into Whoreson Jr.'s arena via brute force, or by schmoozing his way in with these documents he finds on this convenient alley brawl victim. And walking through this arena, I expected this was going to be massive. That we were about to start an intense and choice-filled section of the quest where Geralt has to work with criminals while pretending to be one. And that we'd get those juicy details on Cyprian Wily in the process. But no, Geralt just says, hey, I'm here for work. And then this guy's like, oh, okay, we've got an arena here. Do you like wave-based combat scenarios in video games? Have at it. Then once you're done, everything devolves into chaos anyway. As I spoiled earlier, Cleaver's men show up and a fight breaks out and Geralt has to fight his way out. There's very little to differentiate this from the version where he just swings his sword first, other than Whoreson Jr. makes a brief appearance. But, of course, all he says is generic bad guy stuff.
I'd like to know who's congratulating me.
Slow, ain't ya? Came here to end me, and you've no notion what I look like? Well, we've not had enough.
So the arena is underwhelming. How about the casino? Well, sneaking in is essentially the exact same thing, only now with Gwent. You have to talk your way into the casino in the first place and then win 2 games of Gwent to continue to be temporarily stealthy. I say temporary because eventually it will all devolve into a fight again. The only difference is where in the casino it starts. In my main playthrough, I did it mostly peacefully using my Gwent skills, but I like Gwent about as much as CDPR likes developing Novigrad's criminal underworld, so I couldn't be bothered to play it for this footage. I just talked to the card sharks to see what they'd say about Junior.
He's no miser, although he might have banned fist tech.
I spoke to him today. You know what he said? You find anyone sniffing around for me, they're to stop sniffing for good.
It crushed his head before I could get a good look. Whoreson's always been touchy. But this is going too far.
Okay, so are they gonna say anything that's not super generic at all in this quest? I mean, again, this could be Slimer. Okay, maybe not the crush head part. How about Jason from Jason Takes Manhattan? Look how slimy he is, and he crushes people's heads throughout that series. But my point is that Get Junior tells us nothing about Junior that makes him come off as anything other than a generic bad guy. And then at the last second, Geralt comes upon this body and says,
Fucking degenerate. He so much as touched Ciri, he'll pay.
It is revolting to see what Junior has done to these women, but to me it comes off as a shallow attempt to raise the emotional stakes of the quest. The game is telling me here to fear for Ciri, but that doesn't work because for the previous 2 hours of gameplay, I haven't thought once about how bad of a person Junior is because the game gave me nothing about him. For this to have worked, I needed to feel the urgency from Geralt, but for 95% of this quest, Junior was just this generic bad guy who everyone was vaguely referring to. The quest was just treating him like a bland quest objective, but now, this sequence with the tortured dead women wants us to stop in our tracks and wonder, oh my god, did he hurt Ciri? But it's so last minute that my brain never gets a chance to process it, so this really important emotional moment for Geralt falls totally flat for me.
Took me a long time to find you. Wasn't an easy road to travel. I'm angry and tired. Had to kill a lot of people along the way. Some of them tried to cheat me. Some tried to lie. I didn't like it one bit.
Well, I don't like it that they're trying to get this emotion out of me so unnaturally. Like The Witcher 3 usually handles that effortlessly. But here, they just didn't set things up properly. And the payoff doesn't really work either. The animation of Geralt striking Whoreson repeatedly looks so goofy and like it was pulled directly from gameplay. Then they do that annoying thing of just using the ambient music over this important cutscene. And when that doesn't work, it really doesn't work.
No one's coming.
That music sounds so wildly off-tonally. It sounds like Geralt's at a parade. And then Whoreson Jr.'s grunts, it's just the same sounds that you hear when you're fighting generic enemies during regular gameplay. And I don't have any of Junior's dialogue playing here because he doesn't say anything insightful. I really think the story would have been better served to have a flashback to Ciri and Dandelion actually working with Junior and seeing how that all played out. We do get a flashback, but it's at the tail end of that relationship. It just shows Ciri and Dandelion rescuing Dudu, who's being tortured by Junior, and then Ciri ripping through Junior and his henchmen. It adds nothing other than the novelty of realizing Ciri caused all of the violence at Junior's hideout that Geralt found earlier in the quest, but the actual story of what Ciri and Dandelion were doing gets lost in the shuffle. Junior mentions in one sentence that he was to repair a phylactery for them in return for Siggy Reuven's treasure, but playing through it as Ciri would have made her story clearer. It would have made Geralt's search carry the necessary urgency, and it would have made it so that this line from Ciri had some weight behind it.
An eye for an eye.
And if all of that had worked better, then the final choice of what to do with Junior would be so much more powerful. I always pick to kill him because despite issues with how this quest doesn't properly set up the emotional stakes, this is still an important moment for Geralt.
I'm looking for this woman, 'cause she's like a daughter to me. And that's why I just can't let this go.
This is a satisfying resolution, but without any nuance to Junior's character or any freaking development beyond him mutilating women, who doesn't choose to kill him? The only reason I can see not to is to be able to say, hey, I saw what happens if you don't kill him, and it's underwhelming.
Know what? Gotta wonder what your friends from the Big Four will say when they find out you're working for Radovid.
Hey, wait. What are you saying? Wait!
There's a later scene where Geralt and Ciri find Junior living on the streets, but within Get Junior, what a hilariously inept resolution this is. Like, why is he so scared of the Big Four when they've had zero development in this quest? But that's enough complaining. I know plenty of people like Get Junior, including some commenters like Zeus Scoot or Zeus Scout Django 9, sorry for butchering your name, but they said they really liked the quest, primarily because it has so many interesting moments and locations. And they specifically called out the bathhouse fight, which I forgot to mention, because it is a great visual gag to see Geralt and all these tough criminal types fighting in bath towels. And I do enjoy the variety of locations you visit, like the chess club with Radovid and the cave with Roach, but the lack of focus in the quest just spoils things for me. So thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. If you want me to read your comments in these videos, keep an eye out for my community posts. I've been asking for your opinions on the quests that I'm going to analyze, so leave a comment on one of those. I can't promise I'll use them all because I got to get them to flow naturally with the script, or unnaturally sometimes, but I will try, and I don't know how to finish this video now.